And away we go. Feels like I was just doing this a couple minutes ago, but it's Sunday morning. It's time for the Bearcat Brunch, brought to you by our good friends at Live Healthy Hydrate. It's a locally owned and operated emergency medicine certified. Let's start over. Live Healthy Hydrate is locally owned and operated by emergency medicine certified physicians, nurse practitioners, and registered nurses with 120 plus years of combined experience in critical care medicine, utilizing our knowledge and expertise to maximize our clients' health, safety, and comfort. They offer up the popular Myers cocktail as well as the premium proprietary Crown Jewel cocktail, along with customized treatments such as Glow Up, For the Love of Pregnancy, and Feeling Slender. I could use Feeling Slender. Add-on injections such as B12, Toradol, Zofran, magnesium, zinc, and many more also available. Most IV treatments are $99, as well as some custom and premium treatments at $129.99. Gift cards also available. Make sure to check them out on Facebook, Instagram, X, and at livehealthyhydrate.com. All right. I think we got through most of that.
Yeah, that's pretty good.
Hi, Jeff.
It's like you've been on the radio before or something.
Not normally in this condition. It was like, I know you didn't sleep, so I'm not one to complain. I think it was like 4:30 finally by the time my brain decided it was okay to shut off.
And then had to turn back on again.
And then I had to be up at 8. Kelsey had a volleyball thing today at 9:30, so I had to get her there by 9. So the alarm went off at 8, and my body was like, "Nah, fam." You want to hear my favorite story from last night though?
Yeah.
So my dog, the big one, the one that sometimes comes up and wants a hug in the middle of a show. He is used to like between 10:30 and 11 o'clock every night we go to bed. Might not go to sleep, but we go upstairs and we go to bed. So he starts barking like it's bedtime, like as the game is starting. And I'm like, Ty, a long night ahead of us, buddy. Like, so I don't know, 12:30 or so, Jeff, he goes upstairs and puts himself to bed, right? He's like, I'm through with this shit. Like, come get me when you get me. At like 2:45, Jeff, he is pissed. And he comes back, you hear him coming back down the stairs, and he walks in and looks at me as me and Aaron are getting ready to do and in the middle of the aftermath. And he gives me a dirty look, and then he goes and sleeps on the couch. And when we got done at like 2:45 or whatever, and I looked in the living room and I'm like, all right, buddy, let's go upstairs and go to bed. And he just looked at me like, no, I'm sleeping here tonight. Like, you done screwed up. I gave you your chance.
You had your chance.
I went to bed. You did not come with me. So I'm sleeping on the couch. And my dog slept on the couch.
It left you all by your lonesome.
It left me all by myself upstairs in bed.
Solid. Well, that's what those late night, awful Big 12 start times on the other side of the country do. They break up families. That's what it is.
Well, I mean, it was the realization that with Kelly gone, Tiger and I are now a couple. Like, that is my significant other. And he was mad at me and he slept on the couch.
Well, hopefully you can reconcile over the next week or so.
I told him, buddy, we got a bye week this week, but next week basketball season starts. And you're going to be even...
And that's even busier.
Yeah, you're going to be football. More mad at me for that than you are. We've only got a couple of those 10:30 start times out in Utah, but let's get into it. 34-23, Colorado gets the victory. The Bearcats fall. This is where Dave lets you go. I've already, I've said a lot of my piece, and I don't think much of it is going to change from last night. But Jeff, have at it.
So Dave and I have kind of been talking about it since the beginning of the season. Like, 6 wins right? That's kind of what we've like kind
Yeah.
of targeted. And I don't know if kind of my feelings on the season or last night or whatever, maybe it's the season that have kind of changed my feelings towards like how I view the way that last night went. Only because I think yeah, they have a couple guys that extend their talent base a little wider than what we have. But I think we could win. We could have won that game. We would have had to play, I think, perfect because it came down to the play at the half. And I know there's a lot of people that are on Twitter that are questioning the way that play was called and the way that things unfolded for that play. I did catch your thoughts on it last night. That you spread it out, you lose the they don't stack the box with linebackers. Going back and rewatching the play, I thought their safeties came down awfully quick. Their line did what it needed to do to they came across the face, plug the hole. Sorsby had nowhere to go. Yeah. Personally, I think maybe you hand the ball to Kiner, and yeah, you can look back and say like, well, Sorsby didn't get it, so yeah, you should have handed the ball to Kiner, and that's the guy that is going to get you your yards. I did go back and look. They've been pretty dang successful this season up until last night on fourth down conversions. They were successful against Pitt. It was a Kiner. These are all 4th and 1s. Kiner 3 yards against Miami. They had one. They gave it to Sorsby for 3 yards. I don't know if the backfield was empty or not on any of these. Covey had a run for 5 yards on a 4th and 1. Sorsby again. They've thrown one pass on a 4th down play, and it was a 4th and 2. I think they got
a lot of the
yards.
Sorsby ones before tonight were where he would do that fake handoff, and then Kiner would essentially be the lead blocker.
Okay.
And he would follow behind him. That's been the majority, if not all of them, up until
last night.
Yeah.
Which, to me, I don't know if it comes down to like kind of an overthinking of like, hey, let's spread this out. We don't throw it a lot. Maybe they think we're gonna throw one here, which we didn't throw it. We did not have much success passing the ball yesterday. I thought. Their corners did obviously they've got Travis Hunter out there who just erased Henderson when he was on him. He moved around a lot though, which I thought was a little
erased a lot of guys.
Like he did a lot of erasures. But Preston Hodge, who like I haven't really been like focusing a lot on Colorado that much this year. They come on, I watch a little bit here and there, but like that's not a name that I like really heard too much. And he was very impressive.
Great day.
Very impressive. So that play, obviously, that turns things on its head. But it's not necessarily the end of the day.
That play turned things on its head. It was the next.
Right. It's not necessarily that exact play, but that's kind of what unlocked the ability for what we've run into and have become accustomed to the entire season, minus I think one game. Towson, we miss a field goal, and then Towson scores a touchdown. Pitt, we miss a field goal. Pitt gets a field goal. This is going into the half. Miami, we have 16 plays, 95 yards, and then I believe that was a Royer fumble.
Yep.
Houston, we make a field goal and force a punt going into the half. Great, right? Texas Tech, they score a touchdown. We get 12 plays, 51 yards, miss a field goal. UCF, same thing. They get a field goal. We go 12 plays, 57 yards. Miss a field goal. And these are drives at the end that are in short time. We're moving the ball. We're getting into that position. I know we talked about it last week. It kind of like came up again last week, but then last night was easily the worst of the worst situations where you don't convert on a 4th down that you've been very successful on all year. And then you turn around and somehow allow the best player on the field to have like 45 yards of open space around him. There should never be a time when he just turns around and catches a pop fly 5 yards from the end zone.
Yeah.
That's bad. And at that point, now you're down 10, they get the ball, and you're in a position where your defense has to do something it hadn't really done. I mean, I guess you can count the field goal that they got as kind of a pseudo stop, but they hadn't forced a punt yet. And they do that, and then you turn around and punt the ball away again. And you're in this like forever chase mode. We've already talked about the fact you haven't been having a lot of success passing the ball. And as the game starts to get shorter, we have put together a drive at the start of the fourth quarter that drains like 6-7 minutes off the clock. Not good, Chad. That is not a recipe for success.
Now, the problem, Jeff, is I don't know what the other answer would be right there. You couldn't move the ball through the air, so you had to run it, and those take time. Like rushing drives take a lot of time. The big thing for me, especially on that fourth down play, like I have no issue if your stance is should have gave the ball to Kiner. Like I get it, but at some point, guys have to make a play. Like you've got an All-American left guard. If you can't run your quarterback behind him in an all-conference center, if you can't run your quarterback behind them and get a yard, like, it comes down to Colorado's best players made plays. And Cincinnati's best players didn't make enough of them. And you're in these high leverage games now. You're not in Kansas anymore. You're not in Tulsa anymore. You're not at Tulane. You're not at Temple. Like, this is big boy football. And what big boy football, I think we spend too much time, like the easy thing, blame the coach. Just instantly, whatever it is, if it goes well, you give credit to the player. If it doesn't go well, you blame the coach. And in some instances, I agree. Like, there are obvious, like, that was just a bad call or, whatever. But in a game like this, you have to be able to line up and make a play. And they didn't. They got beat. They got beat at the point of attack, and pretty bad. They got beat at the point of attack. Like, it wasn't somebody running free, but in terms of a 2-on-2, like, if we get a yard of push, Brendan Sorsby gets this first down. And instead, they both got, if not neutralized, they lost a little bit of ground there. And Sorsby just ran into a back and had nowhere to go. Like, it's not that I agree with the call or, like, I think it was a great call, whatever it is. I just think it's sometimes in games like this, in critical moments, in high leverage games, your best players have to make a play. And they didn't. And the offense wasn't good enough in the first half. That was pretty evident. They didn't do enough to really. I love the answer after the Colorado touchdown, where they zip straight down the field, right into the end zone. It's 7-7. Okay. But other than that, like, they didn't have a whole lot of life in the first half. And then that was a clear, whatever happened on Travis Hunter on that play at the end of the first half, they weren't on the same page because Jordan Young was pissed immediately, yelling at Logan Wilson. I think it was. There was some level of miscommunication where Young thought he had help over the top.
Because he full released
Wilson. Yeah, he full released him. Wilson looked like he expected Young to be in, like, straight man coverage. One, why the hell would you be in straight man coverage on Travis Hunter with 10 seconds left in a half? And that, if you go in down 6 and you come out and you get a stop to start the second half, like, okay, let's go. But you're down 10, and like you said, you're constantly in chase mode after that against a team that I thought they played great man coverage across the field. They just said, look, we think our dudes are just as good as your dudes. And one of the things that we love about Sorsby has been his ability to, like, scan the field and find the open guy. You could tell by what he was trying to force, there were no open guys. There just weren't.
I think it kind of, like, even even the play right before the fourth down, you could see he was like really quick to just like pull it and go to try to get something to make that four. And he gets down there and gets, he dives. Could he have taken one more step and dove and like got the first down there? Like maybe, I don't know. Is what it is. Like, but he made it from a 3rd and 8 or potentially getting sacked and having to punt it away. Like, I mean, he gave him the chance. Just sometimes you just don't do enough.
Right.
Like, I know that I had to have this conversation with my oldest yesterday. They lost in the second round of their playoffs, and it was 8-6, and it was a good game. And sometimes, you can be disappointed, but sometimes you just don't do enough. Last night,
sometimes the other team's better.
Yeah, last night, Colorado was the better team. I mean, if you go to game on paper, which is what we like to look at here a lot, and Dave understands a lot more of these stats than I do, but if you look at it, it has more green on it for UC than we've had in a while. But unfortunately, Colorado also has quite a bit of green on it. And that means that things were going well. I mean, it's kind of surprising a little bit, because I actually thought that Colorado had, like, the way that the announcers were talking and like watching the game, I thought that they were running the ball better than really the stats show. They didn't really run the ball well at all.
You saw me on Twitter last night. I was
like, the way the announcers were talking, you would have thought that they were ripping off like 6-7 yard carries at a time. That was, and that might have been stuff.
That might have been what impacted my Twitter timeline, where people were just like, "Got to stop the run," and I'm like, "They're stopping the run game is
they
not
like 3 yards a carry."
Don't even get me started on that announcing crew. Jesus.
I thought somebody nailed it last night. It was a Colorado fan, actually, in the mentions. I don't know if you saw, if you were tuned in or not, Jeff. There was a Colorado fan that said, "Look, we hate it too. They treat it less like a football game and more like a TV show, like a late night TV show." And I was like,
perfect. That's exactly what it was. It was insane. Like, I mean, I know this is getting away from.
It was a TV show that was occasionally bothered by having to call a football game.
I know this is like, that's, a little sideways there, but like, that's what it was, craziness, like, to listen to it. Cause like, obviously, like, I just had like my plan or whatever. And like, you would have thought that like UC was down by like 100 points, that they were like, had no shot ever of like making it a game. And maybe it was just kind of a fledgling effort there at the end. And Colorado was just,
if Colorado misses that kick, it's a 1-score game and UC's got the ball.
And the replay,
he almost missed that kick.
There was maybe like a half a yard. He made that kick.
Yeah.
So I mean, like, UC kind of, that was the other thing. Like, the time management there. I get kind of holding on to your timeouts maybe, but if you start calling timeouts and stopping them, obviously they've got to, you got to stop them still, but you have to do that anyway. You potentially get the ball back with like,
minute plus
2:15. There was like 2:30 something left. They're running the ball. If you call your timeout, when they get the first down carry, you call your timeout there. Then they make their first play. You got 2 timeouts after that. So after first down, that's second down, then third, and then so it probably runs down to 2 minutes. So maybe it's a little negligible with
they
how
kicked
much time
the field goal
left,
with
but
1:39.
Okay, so maybe you would have saved yourself 20 seconds, which obviously didn't end up mattering anyway. But and those kids made plays. I mean, you all the way down to their kicker makes a play. 50, I think it was like 48 yards or something. I mean, that's a
no. If it was 48 yards, he would have missed. I think it was 46.
Okay, yeah. If it's 48,
48, he would not have had enough.
So I don't know. I can't find myself. I mean, obviously, last night, like, when the game's going on, you get really frustrated, right? Like,
sure.
Especially because this isn't a team that's going into this game with like 1 win or 2 wins. Like, we are also on the bubble of making, a bowl game,
having a really good season,
having a really good season. And still they can. But if you win last night, Like you have this dark horse outside shot if some other things, because the Big 12 has been a little bit chaotic. You got an outside shot at maybe sneaking in somehow into the Big 12 championship if you win last night.
Right. Then you got a shot at the playoff.
Right.
Playoffs.
That's crazy. That is absolute crazy talk when last year we won 3 games.
Right.
So if you can kind of like, yes, in the moment you look at it, you get really frustrated, you start calling some things out, get mad about them, whatever. But if you can kind of take that like 1,000-yard view, like lift yourself up in the air and kind of look it over, like where we were last year to where things look like they're going, you can't be too mad. Like they didn't get embarrassed.
They didn't play well enough.
But they didn't play well enough last night. Absolutely.
And you know, Aaron and I talked about this a little bit last night. Like, this is 3 games in a row that the offense has been choppy, where there have been some drives that have looked really good and equal to maybe a little bit more that have not been crisp. And they need, down this home stretch of 4 games, whatever they got to do in this bye week, get Brendan Sorsby healthy, like get it. You've got to get him back on track, because he has been just a step below as good as he was the first portion of the season, all the way up through Texas Tech. His play has dropped down a little bit. Mm-hmm. And if you're going to beat, look, West Virginia is teetering or has felt like they were teetering for a while. That is still a talented team that kicked your ass last year. And don't look now. TCU's playing much better than they were a couple weeks ago.
Yeah.
So, you know, none of these 4 remaining games, and we all know, like at Kansas State, at Iowa State, are going to be really, really, really difficult on the road in November.
Another time where you're going to have to play perfect. You can't make little mistakes.
Play significantly better than you did last night.
You cannot give up 3rd and 13.
Yeah.
You can't give up 3rd and 8. 3rd and 13 turned into a touchdown. I don't care that Jimmy Horn throws up the peace sign although he threw it up at the 20 and they counted it from the 10. But he had the peace sign up for 10.
Yeah.
It should have been all the way back to the 35, whatever. They end up scoring a touchdown there anyway. But you have them at 3rd and 13.
Yeah.
And I realized that was a screen pass that Jimmy Horn just made happen.
Well, he had, it was a peak in space, like with a chance to make a tackle. And that's what Colorado does, is they put they've got exceptional athletes. They put them in space in one-on-one situations and say, we're going to take our chances. If you get us down, you get us down. There's going to be a couple times a game where you don't. And next thing you know, we threw the ball 6 yards and gained 60.
Yeah. Dave and I actually talked about that, like, I think it was like 2 or 3 weeks ago, because there was I don't know who Colorado played. There was like a series of plays where like they had like 3 or 4 penalties. They were at like 3rd and, forever. And then it was like a 50-yard bomb. And then they backed up again. And then it was like 3rd and forever. And then another, 26-yard pass, whatever.
Right.
They have the ability to do that. And if your defense isn't going to capitalize on getting them in those situations where they're going to throw the ball, I mean, they have to. They're even last night, even though everybody said that they were running the ball great, they really weren't. But they're in a passing situation. You have to be able to go in there and stop that. That was the issue that they've had in the past. That for the first few weeks, I think it's starting to creep back up where these like they're getting beat on these 3rd and long plays where they have control of that drive, and then they stumble, and it's always on a 3rd and long, and then it turns into points for the other team when it should be a punt or a turnover, something of that nature.
Agreed. 3rd down defense was not great. I think they finished Colorado was 7 of 13, and 3 of those were right at the end. Like, their last 3 drives kind of sputtered because they were guess what? They were trying to run the ball and couldn't.
Yeah.
They were trying to get first downs running the ball, and they were not good at it.
I mean, their last, pretty sure right before, I mean, they third and nine, and they go to pass the ball.
Yeah.
To try to get some more yards to get closer for the kick because he was at the edge of his range.
The last 3 drives were punt, field goal, and then
end of game.
Yeah.
Yeah. Like they scored 10 points in the second half, I think.
Yeah, touchdown and a field goal. They scored the second drive of the half, and then the final one.
And they're gifted a touchdown at the end of the half. Like, kind of that's where it, extended. I know we've already kind of discussed.
Would you have punted?
But
into the half?
I don't think so.
Okay.
You're all year you have failed on one fourth down play. You failed on it one time, and it's not like you've only gone for it once. I think at that point, let's see, they were 7. So they were 6 of 7 on fourth down plays, at least from the ones I went back and counted. I'm pretty sure that was all of the ones that were accounted for.
Yeah, I think that's
so they were
right.
6 of 7, and they were 6 of 6 on 4th and 1. They had yet to fail on a 4th and 1. You're kind of in a position where at that point you have just gotten your only pseudo stop of a field goal. You've gone touchdown, field goal.
Yeah.
You're kind of moving the ball a little bit. Like, you need to maybe put the pressure on them. Maybe you get that. You can drive down a little bit. Maybe you can either match that field goal there going into the half or score a touchdown. I'm not mad about the decision of going for it on 4th and 1. I think I would have called something different, but you can look back and say that about any play that doesn't work, because guess what? What if they knock a guy on his butt and now there's nobody in the middle of the field and Brendan Sorsby runs the ball for 35 yards?
Right.
Now what are you saying? Like, oh, that was the greatest call ever. They spread everybody out. Nobody was there. They didn't have any run defense. Sorsby runs it up the middle. We're all cheering.
Players have to make plays, Jeff. Players have to make plays. Like that's the easiest part for us sitting here is it doesn't matter what we think, right? Like that's the fun part of it. That's what everybody enjoys. But in reality, go block a guy. Go win that battle. I mean, and it was very simple 2-on-2. Like, I don't want to go all the way back to that, but
I mean, they got beat across their face.
I'm just saying if there was 30 seconds left. If you punt and Jimmy pins him at the 5, there's a pretty good chance
they kneel it out.
Unless they let Travis Hunter go uncovered for 88 yards or whatever. But there's a decent chance you go into the half down 3.
Probably. But there's also a chance there that you have. Yeah. No, I mean, look, like you said, we can always look back at it and say, like, oh, that was horrible. I would have preferred to see Kiner have the ball. I just think you give your best running back the chance to get that yard. But I can also see it from the other side where, like, if your guys can't win essentially, a little battle in the trench there to get a yard for your quarterback to stretch forward, maybe you just don't deserve to win tonight.
Right.
That's kind of what it comes down to. I do want to kind of shout out a couple cool plays that, if you're going to look at some neat things that happen, you got Prater, who I didn't know had that in him. But
he didn't either. Did you see how he reacted?
Oh,
he was not aware either.
That was a heat-seeking missile, and he drilled him. Yeah. Like, and I think maybe, I don't know why he even fielded that ball unless he thought that it might have touched somebody.
That was what I was wondering. It looked like it might have nicked one of their guys before he grabbed it.
Because he also, I mean, like that was like, he also was not prepared to take any sort of hit. Like, he was more concerned with, like, let me get the ball and hold on to it, which he didn't do. He got the ball. He did not hold on to it. I'm not sure many people hold on to the ball, and that was a big hit. And then Royer sending Travis Hunter stumbling and reeling into the sidelines was a nice little touch, and I think he got the first down on that.
I mean, it was easy. He had a first down.
They spotted him like a yard and a half behind where he went out.
They spotted him like he stepped out of bounds. He was this far in bounds. He wasn't even close. I watched it like 5 times, Jeff. I was like, did he step out? No.
Oh man. And then where was I guess it was our field goal in the second half. Who's that kid from Colorado? That Silman Craig. He got away with 2 targeting penalties last night. And at least the first one, they were like, I can't believe they didn't go back and look at that. And I was like, I
couldn't either.
Like, and
I saw it live and thought maybe he got him low, but that looked like the classic shoulders drop, head down. Like it had all the markings of targeting.
I almost wonder if because Kiner just like popped back up like whip, like if he's like if he's laying on the ground like kind of rolling back and forth, then maybe
look at it.
Maybe upstairs looks at it or somebody, but he just kind of like, and then slow-mo, there's no reason he should have been able to just pop back up because his head got rocked.
Yeah, he ate it.
Again, I don't know that doesn't really change a whole lot. What's that?
If he's ever boxed. Like he takes it on the chin quite a bit, and it wouldn't
surprise me.
Faze him at all.
It wouldn't surprise me. Yeah, I see Darren was talking again about the I think he's referring to the not failing on 4th and 1 over there.
Yeah.
The announcer's curse. The
only
time they decided to actually talk about the game.
Right. Was to jinx Cincinnati. Thanks.
That was because they had like three specials on Warren Sapp that they needed to get.
While there was a play happening, while Joe Royer was getting a first down. We got to watch Warren Sapp listening to his headphones in the freaking end zone. What are we doing?
Oh man, hey, they bring in the money. I mean, I think we all know that's kind of the ticket of things. Like, if you're gonna have a 10-15 game, like, they're
gonna talk about Colorado the whole time.
Yeah, nobody's gonna.
I expected it, Jeff, and that was still over the top. And if you want a great,
like, at least let the game play in the background.
If you want a great 5-minute rant, go watch the beginning of the Aftermath last night where Angry Aaron.
Oh, that's not surprising.
Angry Aaron went off on the TV broadcast.
I mean,
and he wasn't wrong.
I mean, it sounds like Colorado guys are just as fed up with it as we are, saying they turn into a late night.
Try to watch the freaking game.
Like, I want to see what's happening out there. Like, this isn't like, and I did think there for a second that it was going to turn into some kind of 50 to
And I told Aaron, that's what happened. If you want to talk about it from a TD perspective, at 31-14, they were like, all right, B material. Like, this one's a wrap. Like, let's get into our all the backup stuff that we worked on. And that's what and just they didn't even acknowledge, oh, hey, wait. This is the game. Like, this is an 8-point game with 3 minutes left. Anywho,
I don't know. I don't have a whole lot more on it other than I was. It's one of those things that could have turned into something really bad, like you're just discussing there, where you're just like, oh, this is awful. But and we talked about it. I talked about it with Dave on. I think it was a Texas Tech game, maybe. Just games where they're not packing it in. They're not they're not getting embarrassed. They're not getting run out of a stadium.
Yeah.
They're you can keep saying it. I mean, they're a couple scores here and there from being completely undefeated. I mean, it's not like a far-fetched thing where you're like, oh yeah, they score here or there. No, legitimately, they're pretty close to being, what, 9-0 or whatever, like right now, or 8-0. Like, I mean,
Yeah,
it is what it is.
but they're not.
And it's right, and they're not, and they're, we're 5-3. We've got to pick up another win. I think it's possible, and I think if you talk to everybody, and I can say this because I'll go find people's receipts on Twitter. I know people were agreeing with each other, like, if we just get the 6 wins next year, like, I'll be happy, I'll be excited, we'll be on the up and up. And yeah, it's easy when you see a team start to have some success to be like, well, why not this year? Why can't we, rock it to the top this year?
You change your expectation level.
Absolutely, based on what you see. I mean, it happened last year.
Yeah,
it quickly went. We're like, oh, this looks
wrong
really
way.
good, and then we were like, no, it doesn't.
This is bad. This is real bad, boys and girls. Jeff, I think ultimately it just comes down to they're not there yet. Like they still need some more speed on defense. I think the offense is pretty close. It's not a fully finished product, but
Tony Johnson,
they're not far off. Yeah, Tony Johnson is impressive the way he's played the past couple of weeks.
I mean, he's starting to ratchet up, kind of like what you're seeing. Well, and that goes along with what
we haven't talked about this enough. He's in a different position.
Slot.
He's in the slot. When they had Tyron Smith get hurt and Aaron Turner wanted a red shirt or whatever that situation was, they moved Tony Johnson to the slot so they could get him and Jamoy Mays on the field at the same time. And that's a coaching decision that deserves more conversation because that has unlocked both of them, really. I mean, they did a good job on Mays yesterday. They tried to get it to him a couple times, and he was just blanketed. Like, he didn't have an inch of separation. But, if it's fair game to shit on coaches whenever we think they did something wrong,
also fair to give them their flowers.
Yeah, they moved Tony Johnson to the slot, and Tony Johnson has been an impact player ever since they have done that. So kudos.
Yeah.
Kudos.
So I think that probably puts the old bow on this one going into a bye week. Get healthy, get everybody kind of back on the same page, fix whatever, might be ailing some folks, and maybe work some kinks out and things that aren't clicking the way that they were necessarily clicking early on. And let's go get a couple more wins to finish out the season and see where this bowl game ends up. Which I think Dave brought up a good point, that these bowl games now, since they truly don't mean like outside of just like start putting together these like hate matches, or like ones where like fan bases could truly get into like hating the other team, even if it's not like a standard rival. And I'm speaking about us playing Wisconsin. And I don't care one way, and it doesn't even have to be like validated hate. It can just be made up hate.
Irrational.
Correct. If it's not, these should be irrational fan bowls where people just don't, they hate the team on the other. I don't even care if the teams have 6 wins. Just put teams together that people want to see play each other, so that they'll sell tickets and you get out there and yell.
Right. I'm all for it. Where's Butch Jones? Can we get Butch Jones in a bowl game? Like wherever
I don't know. Where is he?
Is he at Central Arkansas State or Central
Arkansas State? Is he still at Arkansas State?
Well,
I don't care. Bring him in. We'll play them on like Friday night, and then we can go play Wisconsin on Saturday. I don't care.
That would be a tough one for me. Those are still my guys. It's still a lot of my guys.
They can still be your guys. Bring them to Nippert. They can like put teams together. I don't care. Draft. Do like a draft. Let them pick.
I was watching them and Penn State, a decent amount in that 7:00 window, and it was like, oh, there's Kelsey Sharkey, and hey, there's Pat Lambert, and there's Max, and there's Luke. And then I was like, I wonder where the rest of the staff is. And then I was like, oh yeah, everybody else is at Notre Dame. Ken Brock, Freeman, Gino, Mickens, Chad Bowden. I really should go cover Notre Dame. That's where all my guys are. All right.
right.
Let's get this moving. This next segment brought to you by our good friends at Royal Links Golf Tours. Have you ever wanted to play golf at St. Andrews? Have you ever enjoyed a perfect pint of Guinness in Ireland? Do you dream of playing golf at Ballybunion? What? Have you ever heard of Ballybunion?
Every week.
Have you ever heard of it outside of this ad read?
Nope.
Royal Links Golf Tours is a golf tour specialist offering unforgettable golf experiences to Scotland, England, Ireland, and Wales. Their custom itineraries are more than golf trips. They are immersive, cultural, and country experiences that will surprise and delight you, both on and off the course. Royal Links Golf Tours is owned by former Bearcat quarterback Hayden Moore and his partner, UC alum Jeff Bartholomew. If you'd like to play at St. Andrews or Ballybunion or enjoy that perfect pint of Guinness in Ireland, visit their website at royallinksgolftours.com or call them 770-331-1525. Ballybunion. It's a new
We're
one.
going to start off with a guy that we talk about here on the brunch every week, and he had an off week. Ashton Genty. He only had 128 yards and 1 touchdown.
How terrible. That guy, why did he even bother showing up? Should have just stayed home.
He is on the season averaging 8.7 yards a carry,
which is down like a whole yard and a half from what he was at before that game.
because he had such a horrendous game against UNLV. Yeah,
he's absurd. I mean, if I had to guess now, Cam Ward probably is the front runner to win the Heisman, but I think Ashton Genty has had the best season. I think Travis Hunter is the best player, but that's generally not how the Heisman works, unfortunately.
No. I mean, it was funny. Like Dave and I talked last week in regards to Travis Hunter. You know, he got hurt. He got hurt in a game, or whatever. He didn't play the second half. But he had more snaps than most players get in a whole game, you know, on their one respective side of the ball.
He played every snap yesterday.
It was like 103 or something.
Yeah, every offensive and defensive snap except for maybe the kneel down. Like there
was one he came out. He came out after the play where he almost got his head ripped off and still caught the ball. He went out after that one because I think he had to fix his helmet because then he took it off and adjusted everything and put it back, and then he went back in.
And he was back in one play, yeah.
So
Genty's a bad dude.
Yeah, I mean every week there's their highlights of him just it takes 11 dudes to bring him down. It's absurd.
Yeah. Pitt is undefeated, 7-0, 3-0 in the ACC, 41-13 over Syracuse. Did you see any of that, Jeff?
No, I turned it on at one point, and I think they were saying that
turn it on while there was a pick six in progress.
Probably because I think Kyle McCord had thrown 5 interceptions, and 3 of them were pick sixes.
Yeah. So to start the game, it went pick six, interception for a field goal, pick six. Pitt didn't even touch the football, and it was 24-0. Poor Kyle McCord. It turns out Pitt's actually pretty good. I'm not going to crown them, a playoff contender quite yet, but pretty good.
Yeah, 7-0, 3-0, and they, just another one of those ones. You look at it. Okay.
I'm gonna give you a gambling tip here, real quick. If you see Marcus Freeman against a service academy, bet Notre Dame heavy. They smoked Navy. We saw this firsthand. I was explaining this to Kelsey. We were driving. We went to the women's basketball fan fest yesterday, and we were driving home, and Notre Dame was up 31-13 or something, whatever it was. And she was like, "I thought that was going to be a good game," and I was like, "Honey, We here at Cincinnati know, for whatever reason, Marcus Freeman has a scheme figured out that annihilates the triple option. And she's like, why? And I was like, well, because his first year here, Navy gained 600 yards rushing.
And he said,
and Marcus Freeman
never
spent
again.
a whole year, literally a whole year. I remember at Camp Higher Ground, they would have like every 2 or 3 days, they would have like a 20-minute period of practice that was just defending the triple option. Like he was that maniacal about that was never going to happen again. And then what? That next time they played them, Navy had what, like 112 yards, like the whole game.
But
They get Army later. Just put that in the memory bank.
Well,
Marcus Freeman has a defense that annihilates the triple option.
Well, and that's another kind of a neat thing with and Dave and I touched on this, the Army Navy setup there is, those two teams will likely be one-loss teams when they face each other in the AAC championship game, and then they have to play each other again the following week in the Armed Forces Bowl.
Tulane is really, I think, probably the only team that's going to have a chance to spoil that. And
Tulane, yeah,
they
could.
Memphis not having the type of season I anticipated. I thought Memphis was going to be really good. What else you got?
Oregon beat the brakes off of Illinois after Illinois.
They're probably the best team.
I think so. I had said I thought that Ohio State was still the best team even after they lost, like just because like they flew all the way out there, they play out there, they get beat, but it's not like they didn't get like thumped. And I thought that they were still the best team, and I told people as much. And I don't think that's the case anymore.
No, I think Oregon's the best team.
I think Oregon probably really is. And then Penn State, they beat Wisconsin. I think after what Ohio State did yesterday with struggling with Nebraska, I don't even know that Ohio State's the best team in the Big Ten.
Did you watch any of that Penn State game?
I didn't get to see a whole lot of it at all.
Jeff, you have to. They are doing something on offense that is brilliant. They are putting a 320-pound offensive tackle eligible and putting him like out wide, okay? And then running him in motion, snapping the ball, and letting him, with a head of steam, just crash into a defender at the line of scrimmage. And running behind him. I've never seen, like, it worked every time. This dude would line up, like, outside the slot. Like, he wasn't anywhere. He was outside. And he would get in motion like he was running a jet sweep. And he would come and they would hike the ball. And as soon as they would hike the ball, he would cut right up the middle and just flatten somebody. They did it like 7 times. Like it was like once or twice a drive that felt like they were doing it. Very effective. Something to look at. Put it in the repertoire.
Vanderbilt might actually be pretty good. We're like 3/4 of the way through the season, but
yeah, that was one of those games though that it felt like Texas should have had 50, and they just
didn't
execute when it was time to execute a lot of times.
Poor Brian Kelly and LSU went down to the Yale squad. That's doesn't appear that it was even close. Like,
did you see Mike Elko after the game? Did you hear the quote?
No.
I'll read it for you. This is a real program. It's not fake. It's not a politician running this program, talking fast and BSing everybody. Hello, Jimbo. It's a real program for all the recruits out there. It's a real place. And if you want to be good at football, this is a really good place to be. Just a direct shot at Jimbo Fisher.
Yeah.
Wow.
Hey, whatever works to get the kids in the door.
Could
We
also
could
have been
probably
a shot at Brian Kelly, who I have always referred to as the politician.
well, and he does tend to get down there and talk fast, as they say, about his family. BYU UCF, you probably talk about that one with Aaron tonight.
UCF stinks. Stinks.
I think Dave said he was where he was doing his updates while he was out west. He's like, I'm in Mount Zion National Park, and Central Florida still stinks. Indiana, are you buying or selling Indiana?
I don't know how you don't buy. Like I think their margin of victory, like in going 8-0, is as good as anybody in like the last 50 years or some crazy shit. Like they are smacking people. They did it without O'Rourke, their quarterback, who is out with a thumb injury. They bring in the backup quarterback. They still smack a okay Washington team. Like they're not booty. Yeah, I don't know how you don't buy Indiana at this point. Kurt Signetti, I wonder how long he's going to be in Bloomington.
He's buying a lot of stuff because he just got $100,000 bonus for their 5th Big Ten win of the season, and he is up to $300,000 in bonuses so far.
Yeah,
and
he still has one of the greatest lines from a coach ever. Google me, I win.
Oh,
right. It's on the table, boys and girls. Google me, I win.
Not only has he gotten $300,000 in bonuses activated already, it already kicked in an automatic 1-year contract extension that comes with a $250,000 raise next year.
I'm going to tell you this, Jeff.
He wins, he gets a lot of money, and somebody else is going to pay him a lot more.
You can throw that 1-year contract extension out the window if you have any desire of keeping him at Indiana. It's going to take a lot more than that. The price of poker is going up, my friends. Do you know he's like 60? Like he's not young.
No, but when you like see his like, because it wasn't his like, didn't he do like
everywhere?
Didn't he do something at the like when he got announced at Indiana? Like he like went down the Big Ten and was just like, and they suck and they're not good. And like,
no, he basically got up at an Indiana basketball game and said Purdue sucks and Ohio State and like we're not worried about Purdue. Like we're coming for Ohio State and Michigan and the top of the conference. All right, big boy. We about to find out. And hopefully they had enough water to serve to all those people that were at the game yesterday.
Oh, maybe. It all probably ran out. Although maybe he's taking care of that since he's taken over the reins. Alabama bounces back. It's a win there. Maybe things aren't. Maybe they're not going to move Kalen DeBoer's office back to the big giant desk and the mahogany wood bookshelves with leather bound books and that kind of thing.
Terry, what are you doing here today?
Don't worry, your office is going to be fixed when you come back.
Why do you have an interior designer with you?
Why are you even here? Like, listen, you don't ask why I'm here.
That's right. I'm Miss Terry. This is my building.
Yeah. SMU undefeated in the ACC, 7-1.
Sometimes when somebody poaches your coach, it's a good thing. Because SMU's in a much better place right now than they were when that other guy was when it was sunny outside.
Well, yeah, I guess you're seeing the benefits of that. And then the TCU Texas Tech game. You guys are going to talk about those things tonight, but
Jeff, I left. Like I was convinced that was over and done with. I went and got me and Kelsey picked up some dinner and came back home and was like, what happened?
Excuse me, what?
Texas Tech was rolling, but their defense is garbage. Like they are going to be prone to that because their defense makes Cincinnati look like the 85 Bears. Bad.
I don't know that there was anything else that was like a crazy thing. Like there wasn't any
No, it wasn't a great day. It was like a good day. You know
Kent
what I mean?
State lost again.
Yeah. The Kansas State, Kansas thing, Aaron and I will talk about, but
Yeah.
that's a wild deal that happens like every year where Kansas
Iowa
State
scored
gets up.
40 points again.
What? No.
Yes.
It's almost like nepotism wasn't doing that program any good.
I brought this up last week. They have been, even in games that they're losing. Well, I take that back. Ohio State held them to 7, but outside of that, they've scored 40, 19, 38, 31, 40, and 40, and 32.
Amazing what happens when you don't have a shit offensive coordinator ruining your program every year.
They've been playing football out there. You know that?
Unbelievable.
Anyway, nothing. I mean, it was just kind of like it certainly was not. Was that last weekend?
No.
2 weekends ago.
2 weekends ago, I think.
2 weekends ago, when it was just
No,
unreal.
there's games that were interesting, but nothing that like blew you away.
Yeah.
But all right, I got a puppy that I think is about to pee in the house or something. I don't know. She's freaking out. So
all right,
I'm gonna do that.
Two things on the NFL real quick. We had Kobe Bryant had 11 tackles, an interception, and a pass defense. Ivan Pace Jr. 10 tackles, a sack, fumble recovery, and a touchdown. Nobody else really had anything crazy big. The other big news is Desmond Ridder has, I think, moved out to Las Vegas?
Vegas, yeah.
Is that where he's at now? So he got signed off a practice squad.
He might be the starter.
He's moved out to Las Vegas. So we will always stand for Desmond Ridder. I don't care where he's at. I will root for him everywhere.
He legit might end up being the starter.
Good.
Like they've got a bunch of injuries, and like he's going into a situation where he's probably going to play. Bengals might see him next week.
Good. Well,
all right, man.
Outside of that, I think it was a pretty good episode of Brunch.
You guys would be more than happy to get Dave back next week, I'm sure. The whole point of this show was to have a show where I don't have to be here. Here I am. We'll see you next time. Once again, Bearcats fall 34-23. Bye week coming up, but Dave and Jeff will be here next Sunday anyway. We'll see you next time. That's the Bearcat Brunch, brought to you by Live Healthy Hydrate, right here on BearcatJournal.com.